Hi all, welcome in next video of ASP.NET Core Web API. Okay, so in this video we are going to learn about the logging, what is logging and how we are implementing logging in Web API solution. So in an earlier video, like we already have implemented 3 APIs, and in all 3 APIs we also worked on like how to make our APIs secure using the JWT tokens, how we can create the token, how we can like validate the token, how app configuration details are stored in app setting, and how we are reading those details. So like all the earlier video which we already have learned are so essential perspective of the .NET Core configuration and security. So guys, please make sure like you already have watched those videos and understood and cleared your logics properly. Okay, if you're having any doubt that you are not able to do, or you are stuck somewhere, you can like um, put the comment in a comment box, or you have email ID, so you can mail me, or we have a page, or we have also a Facebook page and Insta page, so you can also go there and put your comments. Okay, so in case if you having any trouble, so we will also create a one Telegram channel, so we will give you the link here, so you can also go there and put your questions, and we will be frequently understand your problems and try to resolve that. Okay, so in this video we are basically going to learn logging mechanism. Okay, so logging is very much essential and important in terms of web API or any microservice and any project kind of implementation, because what logging does, logging is a mechanism of understanding the process and steps. Like if we have a API like get user details. Okay, so when we were calling our API, so what the response we are like sending, what the request we are calling, what the database we are calling, so all for what user we are going to create like fetch the data. So these kind of like information we are writing somewhere. Okay, so like if we are going to call thousands of users details. Okay, like if we have one API and that API is continuously getting called by in a loop, okay, for the thousands of users. So like in case like we have successfully called 100 users, but for 101 users the API is getting failed, or we are getting some error. So how can we understand that? Like if we are logging somewhere, like our API call completed for first user, then second user, then third user, and continuously till the 100 users. Okay, so on that case we can understand like this call is getting failed for 101 user. So we can directly go for that 101 user and see that what the data is missing, what the format is not proper, and what other like reason could be for the failure. But like we can directly understand what is the failing mechanism for that, why it is failing, and what is the failure point. Okay, so in case of transactional, in case of sequential, in case of loop, this mechanism works very well, and this provides us the lots of support while debugging the issue, while understanding the problems, while understanding the failures. Okay, so please make sure you understanding the things properly, because I'm explaining here real-time examples. Okay, means how we are implementing these things in our production application. So I try to replicate the same things in here in this solution. Okay, I'm not doing anything on a sample way, or on just a easy way, like just we created a solution, explained some little things, and just okay we have done. No, I'm just trying to pull out here all the information which we are using in a production environment. Okay, so let's continue for the logging. So I I understood like you guys already got understood what is the logging. Okay, so you understood what is a logging. So what we are going to learn in this video, what is logging. Okay, so that we are going to see, and what is the different types of logging mechanism. So we are going to implement here Serilog. So what is Serilog and what is console based logging, file based logging, and server based logging? Okay, so these are the different platforms using which we can like log our text or errors and whatever we are getting exceptions. Serilog, so Serilog console and file logging implementation, and what is a CQ server logging with Serilog. Okay, so a CQ is basically a third party server which is very like frequently being used for the logging purpose. We can like serve for multiple logging things and multiple logging operation using the SEQ server. Okay, so it also provides a watchdog functionalities. Okay, but currently we are not going to see SEQ. So let's go one by one what we have to see. Okay, so logging. So I already told what is the logging. So logging is an essential feature in application for detecting or investigating issues. Okay, ASP.NET Core writes a log for different framework events, steps, errors. For example, getting into API, DB call completed, exception occurred. Okay, so these things we can like achieve by the logging. Okay, so logging is basically like whatever the message we wanted to put in somewhere, like if we are logging like server, so we can want to log something in server, like we have completed this thing, so we put one line, we have completed this. If we have some other like we wanted, like we have some transaction, okay, transaction kind of thing. So how transaction is happening, like firstly, like take a real time example. Okay, like we are transacting some amount from the ATM. So firstly we like come up with the card, debit card or credit card. So firstly we press the card inside the like reader. Okay, so while we pressing the card, so we can send that message to the logger or server or like user, like card has been received or card has been pressed. Okay, means card has been accepted. Like now what the next step is, like after accepting the card, machine started running or decrypting the information. Okay, so once information have been decrypted properly, so we can put the log like a message in like information has been decrypted. Okay, so what the information we got, like user information, bank account details, and bank details, amount, whatever the details we have. So when unique user information be decrypted from the card, so be sending, so we can send the message information has been extracted or decrypted. Okay, then we can send that information to the server, like we wanted to get the details from this bank account number. Okay, so we can give the message reading information from bank server. Okay, so after getting the information, we would be able to understand what is the amount user has in his bank account, and what type of his bank account, like it's a current account or saving account, and all other kind of details. Okay, so once we get the details, we can log the information, user bank account details fetched successfully. So this kind of logging I'm telling about, this is the process of logging. So what we understanding here, we are understanding the sequence of steps. Okay, so the basic advantages of logging, like if anything is failing while fetching the user information, we can directly understood that like user information has been decrypted properly, means the third step have been completed successfully. In a fourth step, while fetching the like bank information, it's like getting the error somewhere. Okay, so we can directly go to the fourth step and we can see that why it is failing. Okay, so this is the advantages of putting the logging mechanism in transactional mechanism. Okay, log can be written and provided in console, file, and logging server. Okay, so there are different logging server are being used. Sometimes AWS is also used for logging the errors and controlling this. Sometimes AppDynamics, Akana, SEQ. So multiple server also, or some are freeware, some are like use. some are taking some amount, okay, for handling these things. So this could be different. So firstly what we are going to do, firstly we are trying to write a log in console. Okay, once we successfully able to write the logs in a console, we will be writing the log in a file, and then we will be further understanding how we can log the error in a server. Okay, so we are going to achieve logging through the Serilog. So why we are going to using Serilog, not using Nlog and log format? Okay, so Serilog is actually a recent mechanism which are actually is very famous in terms of .NET framework. And when like .NET Core is introduced, it's also booming with the .NET Core. Like it's providing a lots of vast functionality and features which Log4net and Log are not providing. Okay, so Serilog is latest implementation. I can also go with the log4net. Log4net is very easy. Like we just add one package, log4net package, and we just give the some file name. This is the file name, location, and this is the like directly we can call the log4net methods like log information, log message, and the implementation have been done. But I just wanted to pick up with this Serilog implementation because Serilog is important and is like very much supportive with the .NET Core. Okay, .NET Log4net is also being used in a .NET framework and Java older version. It's a older mechanism, you can say, Log4net and Nlog. And Serilog is the new mechanism which is booming and in very much available in the market. Okay, so you also get the different tutorials directly Serilog tutorials, like you have some Oracle community and Oracle tutorial Oracle uh, directly from the Oracle. The same way you will also get the tutorial for the Serilog from the Serilog. So you just search on Google, you will get the whole and soul details. What is Serilog, how it is working, what is the company base, and what the features they are providing, and lots of things. So it's providing lots of features compared to the log4net. Okay, like alerting and subsequent of writing the logs and console writing, file writing, email writing, tons of features. So we can achieve those features using this Serilog. So that's why I picked up a Serilog here instead of a log4net and Nlog. Okay, so let me show you if I have open. So this is the file based logging. When you use the file based logging, you would be able to see this kind of transaction happening, okay, inside the file, and whatever the message you are sending, that also will get logged here. So whenever anything is failing, so like if you see like response has been received, okay, so while converting, if anything is failing, so we can directly understand, okay, database response, we got the proper database response, so now we need to check next for the mapping. Okay, so like we can see here directly in the next line. Let me show you if I have. Okay, so actually I had opened one blog here in which there is explain how and like which logging mechanism is best, so that you can also understand. Let me. Okay, so firstly he explained log4net and log versus log4net versus Serilog. Okay, so he explained log4net. Why log4net? So way back at the beginning of time, or the latest or pretty close to the, there was only one logging framework for .NET, log4net. It is started in 2001, so you can understand how much it is older. Okay, so I understood like some feature have been later on introduced and it has been enhanced and something is happening, but older is older. Okay, so we have some new mechanism, so definitely we will be going with that. So okay, you can see here just one package is going to install and it has been done. So conclusion, the configuration is It is complicated and XML is always difficult to approach. It is possible to configure, is not well documented. Okay, so you can understand that like the means Blogger is also not, it's a Stackify is a good technical team group, so you can understand they are also not recommending using a log format for the best approach. Okay, Nlog, so Nlog is also a pretty old project, so you can see it's also old, and 2000 back in 2006, like just I think log, it's a 6 years 5 years newer than log4net. Okay, so it's also old. So conclusion, there is just some small difference in log and log4, and now easier to configure and supports much cleaner, I think, more sensible. Okay, so I think the defaults and log are, so in case of like we, if we wanted to use a log format, so we can use the nlog in place, but nlog is also not being recommended by the blogger. Okay, so let's see. Serilog is here, Serilog overview is here. So the newest logging framework of the bunch, the Serilog was released in 2013, and the big difference is between Serilog and the other framework, it is designed to structured logging. Okay, so that is the main advantage. It's provide the structured logging, like we can use directly in this way, and we can get the all log, like Sterilog also like reads all your properties, like it has already your properties details, so you can directly use those properties and write log, like put the logging like whatever the, like if you wanted to know the user id, so let's say log is already well versed in knowing if you already have a like in our case we have a user id, first name, last name, so whenever any issue is happening in details, like get user details, so Serilog is already well knowing about what are the keys and value pairs we were trying to fetch, and what are coming and what are not coming. So it's pretty much smarter as compared to log4net and nlog. And usually here you can see like blogger is also recommending this one, so I, that's why I thought like we should go for the latest technology instead of like older log4net and nlog, so that's why I picked up a Serilog here. I also means aware about the nlog and log4net, and I can implement those things very frequently. If you wanted to like understand how to implement log4net and nlog in the solution, so just let me know. Otherwise, I in a, like after this series, in the next videos, I will explain in some dummy project like how .NET log4net we need to implement in our solution. Okay, so here you can see that I promised that we would ended up with the single recommendation at the end of this article, and it is a Serilog. Okay, the API is more modern, it is easier to set up, and it is better maintained, and it does structured logging by default. Okay, so you can see that the advantages here already been like given. So if you wanted to explore, you can explore Stackify. You would get the this article back. Okay, so that would be helpful to understand you why Serilog being used. So let's say start how to implement this Serilog in our API. So I already implemented this thing in our CRMS like test API. I already told you like in for like reducing the time for the implementation, I firstly tried to implement all the functionalities in my test solution so that it can be like smoothly get implemented in the CRMS API. So I think it is open or not. No, not yet open. So let me open the CRMS API first. Okay, so this is our API. So we already have implemented JWT implementation in last video. Okay, so now next we need to implement our Serilog implementation. Okay, so manage NuGet package. Let's follow the steps what are the written over there. So it is saying for Serilog.sp.NET Core. So firstly we need to install this NuGet package. Okay, then we would be able to implement the Serilog.sp.NET Core. Okay, so this one is installed here in our solution. Actually this has to be installed in all the BLDL solution. So I will just explain here. For this solution you can like install in this solution also, and you can put the sequence of steps while like consuming the APIs. Okay, so that would be easier for anyone outsider or debugging the issues. So next we need to implement the logger here in our program.cs file. Okay, so we already have this main class here, so we just need to like create the object of the logger and whatever the configuration be required, so we put the configuration here. Okay, like write to console, and like when we were creating the logger object, create logger object. So logger like you can say middleware is created, and we can inject the dependency in our solution after creating this log.logger object. Okay, so let's go there in program.cs. So I already implemented few other things here, so let's go one by one instead of putting all the things together. Okay, yeah, you can see here only one line is there. Okay, so just firstly need to create the logger object, so I'm just removing all this. Okay, this one be also removing. So we are just creating a logger object, so we need to implement the reference here using Serilog. Okay, here the Serilog format I think being used. Yes. Okay, so this is the basic one. Like we created the object of the logger, and this logger object will get like injected in our controller. So we can do the more configuration here. Like currently we are only using a write to console. So we can the same way write to a file, write to server, write to email. We can use the other functionalities as well, but currently let's see for the console one. So console is written. Now we need to inject this logger dependency to our controller. So first go for the user controller. Okay, so we need to create one more property here. Logo should be there, and we need to pass the interface for our user details. Yeah. So I think logo stands alone. Okay, and the object would going to be a logger. Okay, so object is created. Now we need to inject the dependency here. So the same way we need to implement logger user details. In the name we can give logger. Okay, so the property is already created, so we need to fill this property by the object logger object. Okay, so new reference is added, extension dot logging. So object is injected here, so we need to use the loggers feature here. So loggers may have some features like transaction is started, like logger dot log error, logger dot log message. Okay, so different inbuilt methods are already there in the logger object. So what is the relevant for that, we need to pick that one. Okay, so based on that the alert is being like generated. I can show you, it's a log. Okay, so you can see here, write a log message at the specified log level. Okay, critical log debug, log errors, this is this one. If you facing any error, like if we are using error handling in our project, like we are using try catch, and finally if anything is failing in try and we wanted to log that particular error message as a error, so we can select the log error. Log information like transaction is going to started or blah blah other kind of things, so we can put here in log information. So for every this extension method, every extension methods are like being generated a different type of message. Like if you passing simple log, so it will just write it over there. Okay, if you are passing any error, so it will like written like a different type alert message. Oh, error is like noted here, error is written over here, this will log trash. So we have a different extension method here. So currently let's using a log. Okay, so what we are logging here, we can say get user details, no? So we can say user details, get users, get user details API started. Okay, okay, it's actually debug mode, that's why it's saying. User details DL console is the controller. Okay, so logger.log information is there, so that is I think more appropriate. Logger.log information, yes, this is the more appropriate. Okay, so what we are putting here, get user details API started. Okay, and next we can put here we log fetching details for user. Okay, and we can give the user ID here. So how can we give, just put plus, and we also know like ID is here, so we can put the simple ID. Okay, so what is happening here, like two logs, and if this API is getting called for 1000 users, so whenever the new call is coming, so it may already see like uniquely identified by this ID, because every user have a different user ID. So user can be like this call can be identified using the user ID, and now the call is going to this uh, ID, like it's a BL. Okay, so inside the BL we can also put this kind of log, and inside the DL we can also put the log. Like before the database call we can put like database Oracle data base call is going to start, or Oracle DB call started for this user. Okay, and once response came we can put that. So anywhere if you feel like here we can put this call, and in case of failure we can understand like this is failing. So like it is recommended if you using any different layer architecture, so you provide the like information here before start going to the next layer, so that we can easily understand which solution is failing. Like here you can put user details. Okay, okay, let me show you. User details fetching from BL. Okay, so in this case what happens, any debugger or support person can understand, like after this call the control is going to the BL layer. Okay, and when the BL layer is calling to the DL layer, you can put this user details are fetching from DL. Okay, so understand, like detail call is going to the DL layer, and when the DL layer call is going to the database, you can put this user details are fetching from Oracle database. So like if this is coming, then DL is coming, and in some case of failure Oracle database is not coming. So like support person can easily understand, like, oh, Oracle database is failing, that's why it's not coming. So I'm not putting that thing here, because for that, if we are going, we need to implement here and here, so we need to add the package here. So you guys, you can do by yourself. I will be implementing that thing later, so that it cannot consume a lots of time here. Okay, so I was getting call, give me a second. BL is done. Okay, so the same way we need to put in DL and Oracle database. So this has been implemented for the console. So let's build it and run and see. Okay, succeeded. For the time being, I'm commenting authorize. Okay, so that API not ask for the bearer token, otherwise it may take a time to every time create a new bearer token and put in our like API to get it authorized for the call. Okay, so our server is loaded here. We need to call this controller. Okay, so just function, press F12. Okay, so dev tool will get open. I already told you in last video how to open it. So we need to go on a network. So we can see here once it is like started, when the call sent to the API, and we also like put here in like this implementation is done. Go on a next. This is also done. Go on next. So go to view output and choose web server to open the below window. So actually we need to open the output window, console window in our Visual Studio to get those logs. Okay, so just go to the view. You would be having output window here, so you can just open it. So currently we would not be getting any log in debug mode, so we need to go for our server. Okay, so let's start Where is that? This one. Project manager. Put here one. Execute. Okay, so you can see function F10 you need to put. You can see get user details API started. Okay, you can see next fetching user details. The ID is coming here. Yes, you can see here details is also coming. User details. You can see user details is coming. User one details are fetching from BL. You can see user ID is given here. Okay, so user one details are fetching from BL. You can also this fetching details from user. This one fetching details ID. So fetching details for user and the user ID is here. Okay, and the next one is user, then ID, the details fetching from BL. User, the ID, details fetching from BL. So this is the console and the information is getting logged here properly. Okay, so this is the console error logging mechanism. So in this case user can, like support person can also understand where it is failing and where it is going on a wrong way. Okay, it's providing a sequence. So actually it should come on debug window. So what we need to do to coming on the debug, let's make that changes. Okay, so this has been done. It is coming properly. So here I think it would not be working. I think let's see, because SQL developer, I did not check whether SQL developer is running here. Yeah, you can see yes, or the TNS no listeners means the database service is not up, that's why it's failing. So I already told you what you need to do for this services.msc as an edge administrator. ODA service, sometimes it gets stopped automatically. Listener service is stopped. So we need to start this. Okay, you can see this is started now. So once this service is started, our database communication will get started properly. So we can again execute it. Let's continue. Okay, the old error, here is the name. It is not here. Okay, I stopped that window. So run it again. In meantime, we can also open the SQL developer and check whether the connection is establishing properly or not. Because this issue is only coming when the like TNS service gets stopped from the services center. So that is not a big issue, it comes occasionally. The response, continue. You can see success. No, this is the status. It's checking lots of time. Your response is coming now. Okay. So the issue was only for the TNS listener. So this issue may also occur in your system. So not a big deal. So no more required for the SQL developer. So what next we need to do? So we already have seen like this kind of console is already logging there after doing the implementation, and we can change the format in JSON format that we already implemented. So what is happening, like by default like it is writing on the XML format, so we can force the logging to the writing the like whatever the logs we are getting in the JSON format, so that it can be a lighter bit. So that we also put there in our log write console method. I can show you. Okay, so this thing is I'm talking about. Okay, taking consuming lots of spaces for my system. Okay, so this has been done. So go to the next. So console logging has been completed. So next we need to look for the no before that let's do for the debug mode. Okay, so all the logs currently is only coming in a server mode. Okay, so we need to see the logging in a debug mode. Like we just go in our output window and we can see that while debugging what the response is coming here. Currently we are only getting in a server web server. Okay, so we also get the log for the from the debug. So what can we do for that? So we need to make two changes. One, Serilog sinks.debug we need to install, and we need to enable write to debug. Serilog sinks.debug we can install for our package. NuGet is already open. Serilog sinks.debug. Okay, so this we need to install for the debug mode. Let's install it. And what we need to change in our main method, write to dot debug. Okay, so that we can make changes in here. Write to console is already there, so what can be do dot write to dot debug. Okay, debug. Okay, this needs to be, and then we can see the our logging in debug mode. Like it's our mode is debug, so it should be displayed in the debug mode. So let's see. Okay, so authorization we don't need to take currently. One. So let's open the output window here first. Output window. Clear the logs. Click execute. Okay, clear it so that we can see if log is coming. F10. You can see get user details API is started. So information is logged in debug window also. F10. You can see fetching details for user 1. Okay, function F10. You can see user detail 1 fetching from BL. Okay, so you can see now debug console is also started working. We can also see these details here. These details are also getting logged here. See, so in this case now both of the details are both of the places are like fetching the details for the information, like web server is also fetching and debug mode is also fetching. Okay, so this has been now work console is implemented, console logging. So what next we need to see for the file logging. Okay, so how can we file logging be done? So file logging is basically we are creating some files on the daily basis on like it's a depends on the project requirement, like how frequently we wanted to create a new file. So we can create these files on the daily basis or in hourly basis or in some hours basis. So what happens, like multiple files gets created like five every day, every week, and if anything comes, so we can like go to that files and trace the information, like what is getting filled and for which user it is getting filled, for which product it is getting filled. So this kind of logging information are available there in a file. So what for that thing what we need to do, you can see here in our code. So write to debug we already implemented, so we need to use the write to file. We need to provide our file name and the file name and whatever the key we wanted to put there, like if we are like um, creating this file on the daily basis, so we can put the rolling interval day. We are creating this file for the hourly basis, so we can put the rolling interval of hour. So in that case, like the file name will get created uh, on the hour basis. Okay, so rolling interval append the time period of the file name such as log this. So you can see this 30/08/2020 like telling us like it's the 30th of the date and 8th is a month and 2020 is the year. Okay, so this format of the file gets created. So let's implement it. So for that we what package we need to implement? Serilog.sinks.file. Okay, so let's go to the CRMS API. Manage linked package is already Serilog.sinks.debug. In place of debug we need to implement a file. This package we need to install in our solution. This is installing. Okay, so this has been installed. So we need to make changes in program.cs. So write to file place and we need to dot write to dot file. Okay, what information we need? First file name. File name currently we are saying crms log. Okay, crms log dot txt. Now what is the next one? Which is rolling interval. So rolling interval rolling interval is already there, so we need to take a day, hour, month, year. So on what basis we wanted to create, we can put here. Okay, rolling interval this. Okay, so file with this name gets created and this particular time will gets implemented in this format. If we wanted to create in hourly basis, so we can also create that thing in a hour format. Okay, so this has been completed. Anything else we need to implement? No. So let's run it and see. So basically in big organization, like which are handling a lots of tons of users, so they are not preferring a like flat files like handling mechanism. This is also being used most of the places because it is also not taking a lots of coding requirement and lots of we can say server requirement, memory requirement, because it's creating a simple flat file. So flat file is not too much memory consuming. So that's a easy mechanism, not a big thing. But most of the organization is preferring to log this error into the server, log servers. Okay, so that what is the advantages of using that? Like here in this case we can also do that, but in this case we need to create our own logics to send the mails, send the alerts, and send the like notification to the end user or the production support team or other support team. But in case of like if we're using a server mechanism, like we are using seq, we are using Akana, we are using app dynamics. So on that case what happens, whenever any error occurred, so they already providing this facility and feature, like whenever the error is occurred, so automatically then error information get picked by the server and sent to the relevant support team, so that they immediately get notified like this error is occurring in the project, this error is coming, this user is not logged properly, this details is not get fetched properly, this thing is not updated. Okay, so that provide the instant you can say response on that particular error. Okay, so let's see currently for the file system whether we are getting the file or not. Was it one? So our log is, so we currently we are getting a log for the console basis and also for implemented for the file. So let's see whether it is coming for the file or not. So go on, this call has been completed, so go here in file explorer. Here we are not getting. CRMS log dot something should come here. This way, CRMS log, this file gets created. Okay, so it's coming inside the test API. The same way the log should come to the CRMS API, and file is not yet created. Okay, so I'll be missing the reference or something. Program.cs. Day is there, so file. So let's do one thing. CRMS.cs is here. Let's pick it properly. I think we did not pass this output template type. Okay, output template type, that's why it's not picking up. Let's same put there. Let's see. Okay, CRMS log.txt rolling interval is the day and the output template is the date time now. Nesting format. So that also is required. That file name is required. Okay, and we also added the reference. So let's see. Okay, so this has been executed successfully. So let's go to the solution folder. Folder. Don't know, something is not properly reading. Okay, so we were actually not getting the logs file inside the solution folder. This folder is file explorer. So what was happening actually, we had implemented this logic properly, so I think file should come in a proper way, but what was happening, we did not implement this user log method here in create host builder. Okay, so we also need to take care of this. We need to use this .args dot use Serilog method here, so that it can in from inside it can call the write to a console debug and file method, so that it can be write properly in the file. If we are not using this particular method, this will get executed, but the actual writing process will not get happen. Nothing will get fail, but the proper logic for the writing file and writing the console will not happen. Okay, so we also need to take care, like we need to use this use say log method here, so that it can call this write to debug and write to file method in a proper way. Okay, and implement the logic. Okay, so after implementing it, okay, so after implementing it, you guys would be able to see the log inside the solution folder. Okay, so let me go to the solution folder. I recently just make the changes and run the API. So after making the changes, you can see that I also created one log folder, so that it cannot be messed up these files. So I created one log folder, and inside the log folder you can see the log file. Okay, so if we are creating this file on a like day interval, so what is happening, for every day new file gets created. So after opening this, you can see the log are written over here for each second and each transactions. Okay, so for this 35 11 35 9, so you can see the not only the seconds, in the microseconds you can see the transactions is recorded here. Okay, so these are very much essential when you are working in a production environment, to write these transactions, so that support team can get the proper info where the log is getting failed, where the solution is getting failed, what from where the issue is coming. Okay, so this is important. So this way file log will happen. So what as I made the changes, initially I just given the file name here, but afterwards I put the folder name also here. Okay, so that the new log folder gets created, and all the like files are being created can be saved on the separate folder, so that it cannot be messed up with the solution files. Okay, so I created a log folder here, so you can put that thing. Please also implement this one. So basically two file changes are happen here for the program.cs and the controller file. So it is your next task to like implement these changes in BL and DL solution also. Okay, so that we can do the proper implementation. I just explained here how you can like implement the Serilog in the solution. So that is there. Okay, you can see the log is also appearing here. Okay, so controller level implementation for the file based logging and for the console based logging have been done. So next go to the next topic. So SEQ with Serilog. So SEQ is basically a server based logging. Okay, so I already told you like SEQ, Akana and other, we have a lots of like server based logging mechanism which are providing a lots of other features as well, in just like in case of only logging. So they have actually triggering mechanism. Yeah, you can say alert mechanism. You can say lots of other features are also there. They also have a dashboard. They also can like tell us how many calls have been like counted to the API, how many calls have been captured successfully, how many calls have been failed, what are the how many errors have been come in this particular time span, how many errors have been like rectified by the server already. Okay, so that's been already been captured from the server. Okay, so you can see this type of window gets displayed for the SEQ. You can search SEQ in a Google. You can get the like all other details, what is the SEQ and how it is working. But currently I'm not giving a much explanation about the SEQ, because if we need to implement the SEQ implementation server based logging, so we need to require to have a Docker installed in our system. Okay, so Docker configuration is required because it runs on the different port, means it's also a server based, so definitely a new server will be running which is responsible for catching the like errors, and based on the errors it will be providing us the like response. And you can see here different level of implement. You can see error is coming in a red, warning is coming in a yellow. Okay, they have a signal is responsible for catching the errors. Okay, the dashboard is also here. So dashboard is actually telling us how many errors have been occurred, how many message have been sent. So those kind of information is coming here. Okay, so this is also providing an email mechanism, like if any errors come and we wanted to send the immediate mail to the support team, so we can configure the template here and we can set that alert a message or that email to the support team directly. So for this implementation, what we need to do, like in a program.cs we already see that write to debug, write to file. So the same way we need to install the Docker. Okay, we need to configure this SEQ server. Okay, so for that we need to pull some URL is for the SEQ. You can say lust slash SEQ something. So whenever we will pull a lust slash SEQ in this port, so this server will be up and running in this port, and afterwards you using this write to SEQ and providing this port information, you would be able to like write the log there, fetch the logs from there. Means you can read and write both type of can do the both type of communication from the SEQ server. So basically we need to install the SEQ, like configure the SEQ server here in the local system. So afterwards only we would be able to like implement this server based logging. So definitely I would be explaining this thing also, but not here, in a separate video. So currently I think file based logging and console based logging is much enough for explanation what is the logging and how we are achieving for our projects. Okay, server based logging is also important, but we will be definitely discussing later for this about. But you can read about this SEQ, what is SEQ and how it is working in the server environment. Okay, so you can also read the information. SAQ is self-hosted server for structured log search, analysis, and alerting. It can be hosted on Windows, Linux, Docker, and has a integration for most popular structured logging libraries. Okay, sequence is built for modern structured logging with the message template. Okay, to implement SAQ Docker configuration is required. Okay, so SAQ implementation is requiring a Docker first. Okay, so that is not yet configured. Okay, that was all for today. So I think hope you guys understood what is logging and how we are working in logging in a different environments and for the WebAPI and microservices solution. So guys, I already implemented for the API, so I would be requesting you to implement this proper logging mechanism in BL and DL layers also, so that we can see how it is properly working, and whenever it is failing, so where whichever part and whichever tier is getting failed, so that we can understand. Okay, so thank you so much for the watching. See you on the next video. Thank you.